General Hospital will reveal Jen Ray brought a surprising and captivating twist to General Hospital when she stepped into the role of Suzanne, the new assistant hired by Alexis and Diane at the prestigious law firm Miller and Davis. Suzanne's arrival, with her polished appearance, composed demeanor, and impeccable professionalism, quickly won the trust and admiration of everyone around her. Dressed neatly, with attentive eyes and a tireless work ethic, she seemed to embody the ideal assistant, someone any law office would be fortunate to have. She tackled every task with unwavering dedication, whether managing complex legal documents or handling the smallest administrative details, offering Alexis and Diane a rare sense of relief during a time when the firm was grappling with a maze of complicated cases. However, for those who remembered Jen Ray's past portrayal of Chelsea Lamb, a once notorious psychic medium in Port Charles, Suzanne's return stirred a deep undercurrent of suspicion and unease. In the past, Chelsea was not merely a conduit to the spiritual realm but a symbol of the enigmatic, the mystical, and the unresolved. Her previous appearances had often disrupted lives with cryptic revelations and unsettling predictions. Now, seeing the same actress re-emerge as a grounded, legally minded professional created a jarring juxtaposition, forcing many to wonder whether a deeper agenda lurked beneath Suzanne's polished surface. The strange duality between the two worlds Jen Ray once bridged, one of ethereal spirituality and the other of cold, hard legality, cast a thick veil of mystery over the character of Suzanne. The more perceptive individuals at Miller and Davis began noticing subtle yet disconcerting details. A fleeting glimmer in Suzanne's eyes when particularly salacious case files were discussed, a barely perceptible smile during intense courtroom strategy meetings, a momentary stillness whenever she encountered documents containing buried secrets. These seemingly minor cues, almost invisible to the casual observer, nevertheless planted seeds of doubt among even her most ardent supporters. Suzanne's presence at Miller and Davis seemed to be about more than just administrative support or legal assistance. It felt as if she were a silent bridge, slowly and carefully drawing out hidden secrets from the shadows. Was Suzanne truly the dedicated professional she appeared to be, or was she guarding clandestine knowledge that, if exposed, could shake the very foundations of the renowned law firm? And if she was concealing such truths, what was her ultimate purpose? Was it to serve justice, or was she loyal to darker forces she had once known in her previous life as a medium? In a world where truth and deception walked hand in hand, where every word and action could hide sinister intentions behind a polished facade, Suzanne emerged as a dangerously intriguing figure. Her subtle mastery of trust, her shrouded past, and her eerie gracefulness made her impossible to fully trust, yet equally impossible to ignore. The meticulous way she wove herself into the everyday life of the firm only deepened the unease that clung to her every move. Moving quietly through the brightly lit corridors of Miller and Davis, Suzanne left behind not just perfectly organized files and efficiently handled phone calls but also unanswered questions and an invisible web of suspicion that grew tighter with each passing day. Like an unspoken omen, her presence whispered that the secrets long buried were stirring once again, ready to rise and bring with them consequences that no one, no matter how careful, would be able to escape. Paige Herschel made a stunning debut when she stepped into the role of Jacinda, a character who immediately captured attention not just because of her alluring appearance but because of the dangerous role she was assigned from the moment she appeared. Secretly recruited by Nina and Portia, Jacinda was not merely a tool for executing a dirty plan, she was the key piece in a perilous scheme, a prostitution trap aimed squarely at Drew. This plot, meticulously crafted and dripping with malicious intent, was designed to destroy Drew's reputation and career through a single, devastating moral downfall. Jacinda entered the game with the confidence of someone who understood exactly the role she had to play in this sordid charade. She was thoroughly trained, provided with a convincing backstory to easily approach her target, and instructed on how to orchestrate the perfect scenario to lure Drew into the trap. With her graceful movements, provocative glances, and sweet voice, Jacinda quickly established a dangerous intimacy with Drew, drawing him step by step into a spiral he didn't even realize was closing around him. Yet Jacinda's presence was far more than just a pawn in Nina and Portia's game. Beneath her charming facade lay her own ambitions and a shadowy past, injecting the plan with a darkness that far exceeded what her employers had anticipated. Jacinda was not the obedient piece they believed her to be. Behind her sweet smiles was a calculating mind, one that knew in games like these, survival, and victory, belonged to those ruthless enough to seize opportunities, no matter the cost. Slowly, what had started as a controlled plot to defame Drew began to spiral wildly out of control. Jacinda, sensing the power she held, began to push the game beyond Nina and Portia's intentions. She didn't merely aim to trap Drew. She also started collecting secrets, gathering evidence that could be used for blackmail or to topple others along the way. Her growing ambition transformed the entire operation into something far more dangerous, leaving the women who had hired her scrambling as they realized they had unleashed a force they could no longer contain. Nina and Portia, once confident puppet masters, soon found themselves trapped in a nightmare of their own making. As the lines between their original goal and total collapse blurred, as their already fragile moral boundaries crumbled, every character involved, directly or indirectly, was pulled into a chain of ruthless consequences. Drew, the primary target, faced not only the battle to prove his innocence but also the deep betrayal of people he had once trusted. Every attempt to clear his name seemed only to entrench him deeper into the quagmire Jacinda and her handlers had woven. The loss of his reputation, the isolation from friends and colleagues, and the sting of personal betrayal pushed him to the very edge of despair. Meanwhile, Nina and Portia could not escape the aftermath of their own treachery. Panic seeped into every decision, every conversation, as they watched their carefully laid plans disintegrate. The secrets they once wielded as weapons now loomed over them like impending doom, ready to destroy their own lives. Their alliance, once built on calculated pragmatism, began to fracture under the weight of mistrust and fear, as Jacinda's shadow loomed larger with every passing day. In the end, the disaster Jacinda ignited did not merely devastate Drew's life but unleashed a ripple effect of far greater destruction, the collapse of long-standing relationships, the disintegration of hidden alliances that once seemed unbreakable, and a moral crisis that engulfed General Hospital itself. Those who believed they could control the fallout were instead consumed by it, forced to confront the true cost of their ambition and deceit. And Jacinda, the catalyst of this entire maelstrom, remained in the shadows, watching coldly as her victims fell one by one, merely waiting for the perfect moment to strike again and seize even more power for herself. The price of betrayal and guilt had been set, and in this deadly game, no one would escape without paying it in full. In the end, Stephen A. Smith concluded his brief but profoundly impactful visit to General Hospital by once again stepping into the role of Brick, Sonny's fiercely loyal security expert. Brick's presence, though fleeting, left an indelible mark on the unfolding events at Port Charles, embodying the quiet resilience and strategic brilliance that had made him an indispensable figure in Sonny's inner circle over the years. His latest mission, though carried out mostly behind the scenes, was nothing short of critical. Not only did he meticulously arrange for Sonny's emergency heart surgery, ensuring every detail was handled with absolute discretion and efficiency, but he also quietly neutralized several looming threats that had begun to encircle Sonny's world like vultures sensing weakness. Brick operated with a calm precision that belied the urgency of the crisis at hand. While doctors and surgeons at General Hospital focused on saving Sonny's life on the operating table, Brick was busy waging a silent war against unseen enemies, tightening security, uncovering plots, and systematically dismantling potential dangers before they could strike. His efforts were not driven merely by duty, but by a deep and unshakable loyalty to Sonny, a loyalty forged through years of shared battles and hard-earned trust. Every move Brick made was calculated, every decision weighed with ruthless pragmatism. He understood better than anyone that Sonny's temporary vulnerability would not go unnoticed by his enemies, and he moved swiftly to plug every hole, to shore up every weak point, knowing that a single lapse could mean disaster. His work was invisible to most, a silent ballet of strategy and force, but its impact was profound, buying Sonny the precious time he needed to survive and recover. Yet the most poignant moment of Brick's visit came not during his covert maneuvers, but during his quiet farewell to Carly in Los Angeles. The parting scene was laden with unspoken tension and mutual understanding. Brick's departure was not merely the end of a completed assignment, it was a grim harbinger of the greater dangers still lurking beyond the hospital walls. His grave expression and lingering glances suggested that the threats facing Sonny and those he loved were far from over. They were merely lying in wait, coiling in the darkness, ready to strike when least expected. The unceremonious goodbye carried the weight of foreboding, as though both Brick and Carly understood that General Hospital was standing on the precipice of a new storm. In a world where every absence created a vacuum and every return threatened to upset the fragile balance of power, Brick's withdrawal was not an easing of tensions, but a deepening of the undercurrents roiling just beneath the surface. His departure signaled that more than just personal recovery was at stake. The entire network of alliances, betrayals, and silent wars that crisscrossed General Hospital was about to be tested in ways no one had fully anticipated. Brick's vigilant exit left a void that would not go unnoticed, and those who harbored ill will against Sonny would undoubtedly see it as an opportunity to strike, to finish what they had begun. Thus, Brick's role, though brief, echoed far beyond his last scene. His meticulous preparation and silent warnings planted the seeds for the next battles to come, battles that would engulf not only Sonny but everyone around him. In a place like General Hospital, where loyalties shifted like sand and danger often wore the mask of friendship, Brick's quiet efficiency and unwavering devotion served as both a shield and a final alarm, a reminder that in Port Charles, even the smallest ripple could unleash a tidal wave of chaos. And somewhere beyond the gleaming hospital corridors and sunlit streets of Los Angeles, new threats were already gathering, ready to test the very limits of everything Brick had fought so hard to protect. The final week of April ushered in a new and unsettling chapter at General Hospital, where familiar faces returned, assuming completely different roles and breathing an eerie vitality into the already tense atmosphere. This wave of comebacks was not merely a series of reunions but the beginning of newly kindled schemes quietly taking root behind the pristine facade of the hospital, where every corridor and every room seemed to whisper secrets still shrouded in darkness. Amid this whirlwind of change, Chris McKenna made his return to the screen, embodying Jack Brennan with a cold ruthlessness sharpened over the years. No longer a shadow of the past, Jack had risen to a position of immense power, holding the title of director of Port Charles's division of the WSB. Beneath his mask of calculated politeness and deceptive smiles, he quietly wielded his authority to implement dark theories and ominous plans that promised to destabilize the very foundations of Port Charles. Each step Jack took through the hospital's hallways sent invisible tremors through the ground, a silent warning of the havoc he intended to unleash. His mere presence, even fleeting, sowed deep unease among those who had crossed paths with him before. His cold, piercing gaze swept over familiar faces, serving as a chilling reminder that old debts had not been forgotten, and now, Jack was back, more powerful, more dangerous, and ready to claim everything he believed was rightfully his, no matter the cost. Memories of his past machinations began to resurface, monstrous specters awakened from a long slumber. Those who once believed they had escaped Jack's shadow now found themselves being dragged back into the same vortex of manipulation and deceit, where a single misstep could exact a deadly price. General Hospital, once a sanctuary symbolizing hope and healing, was slowly being shrouded in an oppressive fog of conspiracy, woven with Jack's silent threads of ambition. Jack's resurgence was not confined to strengthening his grip within the WSB. He methodically extended his influence across Port Charles, forging secret alliances, manipulating politics, and amassing power through whispered deals made under the cover of darkness. Behind polite handshakes and hollow pleasantries, deeper bargains were struck, promises laced with betrayal and control, all fitting neatly into a grand design that only Jack himself fully comprehended. No one knew exactly what his ultimate objective was, but the entire city could sense a gathering storm on the horizon. Rumors buzzed like restless spirits through the hospital halls, suspicious glances and hushed conversations thickened the air, weighing heavily on even the most resilient souls. Those who had survived past confrontations with darkness now questioned whether they had the strength to endure Jack's new, even more devastating crusade. Jack Brennan's return was far more than just the reappearance of an old figure, it was an ominous harbinger of peril yet to come. As the forces of darkness began to stir, slowly tightening their grip around the heart of General Hospital, every character was forced to face an inevitable choice, either rise and fight against the coming tide or be swallowed whole by the brutal storm of power, betrayal, and destruction. In this new battle, no one could afford to remain a bystander. Meanwhile, Parisian returned to the screen as Brad Cooper, the enigmatic lab technician whose face seemed to perpetually hide 1,000 secrets. This time, Brad's quiet re-emergence wove his life more intricately with Portia's, hinting at the birth of new alliances that could ignite latent conflicts within the hospital's already volatile environment. His reappearance was anything but coincidental. Brad's work in the lab, a place where truth and deception often collided, had always been a breeding ground for scandals capable of erupting without warning. The quiet presence he maintained belied the dangerous knowledge he carried, and with every sample he processed, every file he touched, Brad stood as a ticking time bomb that could, at any moment, detonate and reshape the hospital's fragile balance. At the same time, Adrian Anchondo made a highly anticipated return as Marco, Natalia's son, accompanied once again by the imposing figure of Jens. Yet Marco, far from being the naive young man many might expect, revealed a far more layered persona. Beneath his sweet demeanor and seemingly innocent charm lay dormant ambitions, carefully veiled and only visible to those perceptive enough to sense the storm brewing behind his warm smiles. His budding connection with Lucas appeared, on the surface, to be a simple story of newfound affection, a meeting of two hearts seeking comfort in an uncertain world. However, the reality was far more treacherous. Their encounter set in motion a delicate series of events, a chain reaction of emotional vulnerabilities and hidden manipulations that threatened to unravel not only their personal lives but potentially the fragile peace of those around them. These returns, whether in new forms or familiar roles, were not mere extensions of an already intricate narrative. They were catalysts, igniting fresh fires of conflict and driving the characters of General Hospital into increasingly brutal battles for emotional survival and power. As if the hospital itself were a living organism, it seemed to sense the rising tension, vibrating with the footsteps of those who carried hidden agendas, the glances exchanged that dripped with unspoken threats, the whispered conspiracies that now slithered like serpents through its hallways. General Hospital, never truly at rest, bristled once more with the crackling energy of unseen wars. Each return, each new face or old rival reborn, was like a match struck in a room already saturated with gasoline. The stakes grew higher, the risks more devastating, as carefully laid plans began to surface, exposing the raw underbelly of ambition, betrayal, and desire that had always lurked just beneath the institution's polished surface. In this ever-churning arena, where allegiances shifted with the winds and every moment of peace masked deeper currents of impending chaos, the stage was set for an inevitable explosion, one that would leave no soul untouched.